Hey guys, I just wanted to make a quick guide about the importance of alt tracking on Magneto. Magneto is actually a really good tank right now. He's got really solid damage, and in the meta he's pretty good. I don't think he's as good as Strange, but he's really, really solid. That's it. Today we're just going to go over kind of uh, alt tracking, how you counter ults, and it'll lead you to win more games. But quickly, I just wanted to go over something really important. Magneto's bread and butter. Like these are some like you have to know these if you want to pick up the character. So Magneto's barrier. He's got a couple of really strong abilities. He's got his shield. The shield can take an infinite amount of damage, but it's on a timer, right? And the same thing kind of with his F and E, his bubbles. His F and E are really crucial. So this is where most of his damage lies. When you pop your right click for your stun, so the combo is left click, right click, and then you pop your barrier, and every time you take damage, it increases your right clicks, decreases your right clicks cooldown. So the more damage you take with bubble, the more damage you're going to be dealing with right click. And so most of the time, it's best to bubble yourself, just because well everybody shoots at you all the time. You can't really see on the bots just because they do such minimal damage. But left click, right click does a ton of damage, especially if you're close range and you can combo it like melee. Like this is like almost a one shot, like very close. You can almost one shot somebody like with a full rotation of your damage. So typically the combo will be if you're in the thick of things, you'll do your left click, right click, and then you'll bubble. And then when your bubble runs out, you'll use your barrier. And you'll use your barrier to get to, deployable, not deployable, but like natural terrain cover and wait for cooldowns. And then the other thing that's really important with Magneto is most people aren't using his ult properly. His ult has infinite amounts of range, but it does more damage depending on how much you absorb. So if you absorb like a ton of damage, it's ready to one shot faster. You can one shot with his ult. It's really fast. But if you don't absorb any damage, like you typically you don't have that one shot potential. You do, but you have to wait for it. I think it's around 2 to 3 seconds once you pop ult that does a one shot. It's like 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so it's actually even more than 3. So you can see, like, if you don't absorb a lot of damage, you really don't do a whole lot, even if you hit him with a direct shot. But if you're absorbing damage, like you can see right under, it kills way faster. And that's only like 20 damage we absorbed, which is basically nothing. But yeah, those are a couple really important tips. Now let's get into the importance of ult tracking on this character. This is where ult tracking really comes into play on Magneto. We're getting smashed, right? Like their team is shoving into us. We're getting pushed back. They've got 40 seconds on the clock. You can kind of see everybody's position. They have an Iron Man. And so right now, like I think I've just died. I'm coming back from spawn or something. But I'm with the whole team, right? Like I'm with some of the more valuable players here. We've got a support and a damage character right next to me, and then a support right in front of me. But we're getting slammed. Like they're coming right into us. And so here, as a tank, especially as someone like Magneto, who can just like Magneto's very very hard to blow up. Like meta right now is very bursty just because the supports are very strong. But Magneto can just he can take so much damage, and with ults being so strong right now and having a lot of ults that can one shot or two shot, it's really important to track them. So right here, uh, they've got 40 seconds to come in, right? Like they're playing for the win here. We're down ultimates, right? We have two ults up immediately, and one of them's dead, so we don't have a whole lot. And they've got some really strong ults, right? Jeff ult's really strong. Iron Man ult can be really scary if nobody's shooting Iron Man, and we really don't have an answer for Iron Man other than Punisher because Hela just died with her ult. And so now as a tank, you need to take stock. Like, what do they probably have? Well, we're getting slammed, and we've gotten pushed back all this way. Iron Man's getting free chip. We know he's close or he has it, right? And his ult, it's really hard to counterplay like Jeff ult. You can really only save two people. If you shield yourself and bubble someone else, you can really only save two people from Jeff. So it's really hard to shut down Jeff's ult. And you really can't do anything about Cloak ult because it's really not something Magneto can touch, and it's not a high impact ult for them. So the main thing you need to be thinking is what's a high impact ult they probably have. So in my mind, I know they probably have the DPS ults. I know for sure they have Iron Man ult. I don't know if I can see. Yeah, Iron Man, he's 2420. Like we know he's got the ult. Their Punisher, he's 1712. Not as many kills. He probably doesn't have it, right? Like it's hard to know for sure, but like because of how this game's going and how like little we've done to Iron Man, it's pretty safe to say always assume they have it. If you can ballpark it 90 plus, like always think like when was the last time this character died? That'll tell you most everything you need to know. So we know he has it. We know Iron Man has his ult, or he's very close. So regardless, I can't tell for sure if he's got it, but I know we need to be watching Iron Man, and we need to be watching Punisher. It's harder to counter someone like Hela. Hela really can't blow you up with her ult. There's nothing she can do to you. You just bubble shield, and like she's cooked. Like she can't do anything. Iron Man, he can blow you up, but it's more so for the team. Hela, what you're gonna want to do is you're gonna be needing to look to bubble your team and shield yourself. Like that's kind of what you can do. Hela can two shot, so we're not as concerned about this as the pulse, because pulse is like very. If you mess up with pulse, like you get one shot, and Iron Man's been playing fairly decent. Like I don't think Iron Man's a super strong character, but you do have to respect his ult. So I know he's here, right? Because I mean, we can see him, and he's unibeaming me. So I'm looking for him, right? You can probably see like we're poking mid, but we know he has his ult. Iron Man's looking for pulse here. We're all clumped up. This is at least a 2K, so I'm looking at him. And here it is, right? He uses his ult. I hear it. I know where he is because I've already looked. Pull up the shield, completely shut down. That ult goes from 2 to 3K to nothing, right? He gets no value for that, and it costs me like half a second of shield. So that crazy scary ult that he has is no longer an option. And now all of a sudden the tide's completely changed. We've got Magneto ult coming up. We've got Punisher ult coming up. We still have our Hela ult, and they've only got 2 ults, so they just popped their Iron Man. So they've got, we know they have Jeff ult because Jeff gets his ult very quickly, and probably Hela ult. I don't know about Punisher ult, but I'm not as scared about Punisher ult as I am about Hela, just because I can counter ult him, right? I don't know if you can counter ult Iron Man, but typically you don't need to, especially when he's like super stupid and plays like in this area. Like, he's just like flying around being useless. But that's an example of where, like as a tank, you need to be aware of who's got what, or at the very least have a very good idea of high impact ultimates and where those characters are. So let's go over another example really quick. So this is what I'm talking about. So this is a much more important scenario. If you're looking at our ult economy, you can kind of see we really don't have any type of answer for the ults here. They're pushing in. They've got 4 minutes to push in. Or sorry, not 4 minutes. That's the time we've got. They're on overtime match point. So this is potentially game losing with the amount of ults. We have good ults. I mean, Groot ult is very strong. Plus Magic ult is really strong if used in unison. But we don't have a support ult. So we really don't have an answer for Star-Lord at all. And his ult can team wipe you if you're not paying attention, and there's really nobody who can pressure him here. We don't have a hit scan. Really hard to hit Star-Lord as Hawkeye unless they're very good at Hawkeye. They just lost their Doctor Strange, so now I'm playing a little more passive. They have to come into us here. They just lost Doctor Strange. I'm tracking Doctor Strange's ult. We know he has his ult, so I might play a little more passive just because Strange ult is way more impactful. I have to. You have to block the Strange ult if you're playing someone like Magneto, or at the very least weaken it. So holding up the barrier in front of his face when he ults, bubbling everybody, bubbling whoever's stuck in the ult. Very important as Magneto. Strange's ult is very, very good right now. It can lose you games like super easy if you're not paying attention. But this is another example of when tracking's super important. Like this is overtime. We don't have our strong support ults. So Star-Lord ults, we really don't have an answer. So as a Magneto, what you need to be thinking is, how close is he to his ult? Like, I know he's probably pretty close. We haven't heard him use it yet. I'm not going to go over the whole game, but he hasn't used it yet, so I know he's got it, or he's close. And so I'm being greedy. I'm playing for my ult. I'm not going to use my ult to pick off one of their supports. Like, I'm not going to be stupid here. The play is to eat Star-Lord's ult. So if we watch this, slow motion, Star-Lord wants to make a play here. This is his moment to make a play. He's looking for it. He's looking for his ult. He's waiting for healing. He's trying to go for the flank. Like, I know he has his ult. Like, we know this. I'm looking for him. I don't have to be super on him just because my ult's radius is so big. I know he's here, though. Like, I know he's here. I'm reloading. We've lost some people, but they're in big trouble. Star-Lord has to make a play. They're pretty much cooked because he waited so long, but this is an example of where it's really important. Cloak and Dagger's still on the point. We know he ults. The second he ults, I pop mine. You can see me float in the air like a Sigma. Watch his bullets here. Watch his bullets. I eat all of them, right? Like there's really he can't touch anybody, and then you just nuke him and he's done, right? Like there's it's so funny, bro. But like characters like Punisher or Star Lord, anybody who has a really high burst ult who can wipe you really fast and wants to kill those supports or blow up the tanks, really strong to use your ult on Magneto. And then there's another Magneto tip that we're going to go over really quickly before we end the video. His damage isn't crazy. We've already gone over how he can half health people, which is the bulk of his damage. We need to talk about his primary. So Magneto actually honestly probably farms his ult as a tank. I feel like he farms it really fast. There's a couple of characters who farm their ult pretty fast. I think Magneto is one of them in the tank category. Because if you watch, his primary actually has explosive damage. And you can see, fires of volley, the range of the resulting explosion increases based on the distance flown. So the further, right, the further it goes, like if you're max range and it hits, it's really hard to miss on Magneto. Now you obviously want to go for directs because that's where most of your damage is, right? But if they're clumped, like you can take pot shots at the support, like at full range, and still hit them if you're hitting the ground, right? Like the way it works is, it depends a little bit on range, but like kind of like with the whole right click thing, like look at how far I am. And obviously it's best to aim, like this is simple stuff, aiming to the right of the character because your camera's over the right of your shoulder, right? Simple stuff. But like it's really easy. Like this is very forgiving. Like this is just free charge. Like that's a percent charge. And imagine you're hitting like 2-3 people with that. It's a lot. Like that adds up very fast, right? So it's really important to know kind of where your general range is. And like especially for Magneto, like since you can full range people, like you can poke down supports, forcing them to burn utility and stuff on themselves, or right, if you don't want to be at max range, like you have the option to play a little closer, right, if you're shooting at the floor, because it explodes depending on where the ending of the projectile is. Now, that's not something you can do kind of right next to them, right? It's at the end of the range of the primary, there's an explosion. So that is really strong poke. Like it farms your ults really fast. It's just really good. It can force out utility. The main thing you want to be chipping down is the support. I mean, obviously you're gonna have to take shots at other characters at some point, right? But forcing the supports to burn cooldowns and especially burning stuff like Luna Shift or Mantis Shift on themselves or not on their tanks is huge. Forcing them to run away. And I mean, you can do all this from the other side of the map, right? Like if you're playing against someone like, I mean, Hulk's not very good right now, but what tank in the game has range like this besides maybe Strange, right? And who has range this forgiving, right? Strange can't do this. Like he can't be so forgiving. Strange has maybe a little more damage, but like he does not have crowd damage like that. So it's really important to remember how far you are and like what type of distance you're dealing with as Magneto, just to help you farm your ult, right? Because his ult, in terms of pure kill, it doesn't do a whole lot. I think it takes like we said, like 3.5 seconds to fully kill a squishy. So let's time it, like 1, 2, 3. It doesn't even kill at 3 seconds, right? So, well, obviously without damage amped, right? But still, it's really important. Like if you eat these people, 1, 2, 3. See there, it's a little more damage, right? But the whole point is like it takes like 4 seconds to kill. Most people don't shoot into Magneto ult, right? So if you're doing 4 seconds to kill, like it still doesn't kill. Like it almost takes your entire ult duration to kill. Like Luna's not tanky. Like she's really not that tanky. So without any damage, like look at this. Like Magneto's ult really isn't that crazy if you don't have what's it called? If you don't have damage taken. I think with these bots we've discovered you can do it at like halfway. It depends, right? So we've eaten like half the damage. See, it's a huge difference. Like even just like 12 damage eaten is so big. So it's really important to use your ult to steal damage. I mean, you can still, I'm pretty sure technically you still can one-shot if you charge up the entire ult, but this charge time is really long. You can't use any abilities. Like, so really you're going to want to be looking to poke people down. Magneto is very rewarding with the fundamentals, right? You can't be like chasing people around. Like You gotta play to your strengths, play to your cooldowns, you know, your bubble, your shift. Really, really important. Shift can eat any amount of damage. Now, it's on a cooldown, for sure. But I mean, you can flick shift and block something, right? Like, I can block Iron Man ult with that. I can block Scarlet Witch ult. I can block anything, you know. And the same thing goes with the right click. Like, characters that eat damage with your bubble, or you eating damage with your bubble, refunds your right click. So you're going to be right clicking a lot with this character. Typically, you're using the right click to either burst out squishies or push tanks off you. But this character can really rack up a lot of damage fast. He's really, really tanky. In terms of pure tankiness, I genuinely do think he's probably the tankiest in the game. It's really, really hard to blow Magneto up. But yeah, this was just a quick video about going over the importance of ult tracking. It's really important to note you can't really guesstimate how close they are. You can kind of take a good guess, but if they haven't died in a while and they haven't used their ult, you can kind of assume they're 80 to 90%. So maybe like look out for those characters. Like look out for the Punisher, look out for Star-Lord, look out for Hawkeye on his ult, right? Like these are characters that like you can just eat their projectile and then one-shot their support with the damage they give you. So, and it's also, I mean, it's also worth noting that he's got the crazy team up with Wanda. Makes him probably the best tank in the game, to be honest with you. The damage, the cleave is really, really high, but that means that your teammate has to play Wanda, so not great. I mean, there's a little bit of synergy with her ult in this bubble, but really not that much. I mean, Magneto without Wanda is still really solid. Like that's the general bread and butter combo. Left click, left click, and it's almost a one shot. Granted, it has to be direct hits, right? Like you want to hit directs, but in the instance that you can't, like this has a lot of splash. Like that's a lot of splash damage. If you're hitting 2-3 people with that, like you're charging 5-6% of your ultimate, like every single shot. So yeah, very important. You really want to be looking to shut down a lot of these high impact ultimates, especially if you have a Mantis or a Luna that don't want to have to burn their ult because they're saving it for something more important, right? Like Doctor Strange ult or I don't know, some other really nasty ult, right? Like it's really important to use your ult instead, because honestly your ult's not fantastic. So it's so worth trading your ult for Punisher or for Star-Lord or for Hela or whoever, just because the support order, the Luna and the Mantis ult is so much more valuable. Like it's way worth the trade, right? So this is just a quick video about ult tracking. This applies to every elo, every rank, right? Like you want to be tracking ults, especially high impact ults, right? Iron Man characters, like I'm pretty sure you can eat Iron Man ult. I'm not 100% sure though, but you want to be tracking these character ults who are high impact. You can knock a lot of characters out of their ult with the right click. Like Magneto's very versatile, very strong. But yeah, this was just a quick video about ult tracking. Super simple stuff, you guys. Just know what's going on. Pay attention. If somebody hasn't been dying on the enemy team, if you haven't seen them pop their ult, be aware, right? And you don't have to just use your ult to counter them. Like you have utility. I mean, you can stand in front of Punisher with like make him blow your bubble up, make him waste his time shooting the shield, and then pop your ult, right? Like Magneto's very versatile, very tanky character. Like so, make use of your cooldowns. Play around your cooldowns. Play around your right click and your left click. Like this is bread and butter. Like this is stuff you have to be aware of if you're gonna play Magneto to any capacity, because otherwise the character can feel really bad. But yeah, that's about it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll probably be doing some more videos on Marvel Rivals, but I've really been grinding through rank with Magneto right now. He's really strong. Is he as good as Strange? I don't think so. Strange is just really, really versatile, but I do think he's tankier than Strange. Honestly, might have more damage. It's really hard to say. Strange has a lot of damage, but Magneto's super solid pick. He's pretty strong right now. If you want to pick him up, if you're looking to play tank, not the most complicated tank, but you do need to be paying attention. Understand what they have. Play around cooldowns. Play around ults. But yeah, that's about it. See ya.